Hello friends, how are you? Hope you are doing well. So in continuation to our part 1 discussion with respect to the climate change basics, we are continuing with the question, what is adaptation and mitigation control measures to the climate change? So mitigation measures are those actions that are taken to reduce and curb the greenhouse gas emissions, while adaptation measures are based on reducing vulnerability to the effects of the climate change. So mitigation therefore attends to the causes of climate change, while adaptation is addressing its impacts actually. So what are the examples of climate mitigation? Mitigation strategies include, for an example, retrofitting in the buildings to make them more energy efficient, adopting renewable energy sources like solar, wind, hydro, and helping cities develop more sustainable transport such as bus, rapid transit, electrical vehicles, and biofuels, and promoting more sustainable use of the land. Next is, what is climate risk management framework? So this risk management framework of climate risk is a systematic framework that seeks to anticipate, avoid and prevent all type of climate risks, as well as to absorb remaining impacts from extreme weather events and slow onset changes as well. So who is at risk of these climate change? These climate sensitive health risks are disproportionately felt by the most vulnerable and disadvantaged, like including women, children, ethnic minorities, poor communities, migrants or displaced persons, older populations, and those with underlying health conditions. Next is, why is climate change a financial risk? As a result, insurance is likely to become more expensive or even unavailable in at-risk areas of the world. So, climate change can make banks, insurers, and reinsurers less diversified because it can increase the likelihood or impacts of the events previously considered uncorrelated, such as droughts and floods actually. So what is the climate risk in the business? As I said earlier, again repeating it, physical risk because of the climate change are those which have the immediate threats that can come from physical environment, flooding, hurricanes, droughts, wildfires. So these are all symptoms of the climate crisis and can cause physical damages to the people, assets, property and transportation links. Is climate risk an investment risk? Yes. Disclosure is necessary because climate risk is investment risk and market participants have a significant interest in understanding the size and the scope of that risk actually. Now, what is the risk for the banks, the climate risk for the banks? So typically talking, banks put climate related risk into two buckets. Like they include extreme weather events and long-term shifts in the climate leading to the closing of retail branches or facilities, negatively impacting the creditworthiness of the clients and adversely affecting asset prices as well. Why the climate finance is important for us? So till now we have seen the climate risk, but some finances are required to control the climate risk. So climate finance is essential to help significantly reducing the emissions and enable all the countries to adapt to the effects of a climate change. What is the meaning of the greenhouse gas effects? As we have discussed earlier, the greenhouse gases which can create an impact, which is called greenhouse gas effect, which is the way in heat is being trapped close to Earth's surface by greenhouse gases, and these heat trapping gases can be thought of as a blanket wrapped around the Earth, keeping the planet toastier than it would be without the gases, without them. What are the 6 main greenhouse gases? As per the Kyoto Protocol, Kyoto basket encompasses the following 6 greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, N2O, and so-called fluorine gases. What are those? Hydrofluorocarbons and perfluorocarbons. And next is sulfur hexafluoride, SF6. So these are 6 main greenhouse gases as per Kyoto basket income. Then we think about what are the main sources of these greenhouse gases. We talk about carbon dioxide makes up the vast majority of the greenhouse gas emissions from the sector, but a smaller amount of methane and nitrous oxide are also emitted These gases are released during the combustion of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, natural gas to produce electricity. What are the greenhouse gas emissions and why they are harmful? The greenhouse gases have far-ranging environmental and health effects. They cause climate change by trapping heat, and they also contribute to respiratory diseases from smog and air pollution. So extreme weather, food supply disruptions, and increased wildfires are other effects of the climate change caused by the greenhouse gases. Why is reducing greenhouse gas emissions is important for us? Reducing greenhouse gas emissions can improve air quality and save lives. Reducing global greenhouse gas emissions to slow climate change could prevent millions of premature deaths due to the air pollution. How this GHG can be reduced or greenhouse gas emission can be reduced? So GHG emissions can be reduced by making power on site with renewables and other climate friendly energy resources. Examples include rooftop solar panels, solar water heating, and small scale wind generations, fuel cells powered by natural gas or renewable hydrogen, and geothermal energy. What is meant by GHG inventory? This is also very important term in terms of data disclosures related to the carbon emissions and greenhouse gas emissions. So a greenhouse gas inventory is a list of emission sources and the associated emissions being quantified using standardized methods. Organizations develop GHG inventories for a variety of reasons, including managing GHG risks and identifying reduction opportunities as well, business opportunities. Participating in voluntary or mandatory GHG program, also this is a benefit. What is GHG management? So greenhouse gas management entails measuring emissions and understanding their sources, setting a goal for reducing emissions, developing a plan to meet its goals, and implementing that plan to achieve the reductions in the emissions. So why the GHG inventories are important? As I said, the GHG inventories enable companies to identify their emission sources and track the changes over the time period. So information presented in a GHG inventory can help informing corporate strategies and prioritizing actions to reduce emissions, as well as providing benchmarks against with the success of these activities can be measured. What is the GHG validation? So GHG emissions validation and verification may be pursued by an organization for a number of reasons, such as to contribute to their annual report, to communicate to their customers, and to meet regulatory or investor reporting requirements, or publicly disclosing their emissions reduction achievements as well. Now, what is a GHG audit meaning? The GHG gas accounting and audit describes the way to inventory and audit the gas emissions actually. So a business or a corporate or any organization, GHG emissions assessment measures the organization's carbon footprinting, GHG footprinting, by quantifying the total amount of greenhouse gases the organization produces, whether directly or indirectly. What are the three basic policies approaches to climate change? These are nothing but the major greenhouse gas reduction policy approaches under consideration fall into three main categories. One, carbon pricing. Second, technology subsidies. And third one is about the performance standards as well. Next is, what is the strategic planning for the climate change? This is also a key learning point. A climate change strategy or the plan is essentially a government's policy which is having an intention to undertake a suite of actions to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and or to adapt to the climate change actually. So next is, what is the meaning of climate resilience? Climate resilience is nothing but is the ability to anticipate, prepare for and respond to hazardous events, trends or disturbances related to the climate. So, improving climate resilience involves assessing how climate change will create new or alters the current climate related risks and taking steps to better cope up with these climate related risks. So, thank you very much friends. We'll discuss in the next discussion. Thank you.